Costa is brought to you by FQM Trident Limited, a subsidiary of First Quantum Minerals Limited.
The arrest of some lawmakers and opposition leaders on charges of hate speech and espionage. FDD's leader Edith Nawakwi and the Christian Democratic Party's Danny Pule were last week arrested on charges of tribal hate speech and espionage in line with Section 3C of the State Securities Act, Chapter 111 of the laws of Zambia. Others include Lumezi Member of Parliament Munia Zulu, Mfue Member of Parliament Maureen Mabonga, and activist Brebna Changala. President Hakainde Hichilema last week ordered police to arrest anyone causing tension in the country. Says he's been watching for far too long, for the last 2 years, 8 months, on how the country's security was degenerating, and has ordered police to clamp down on anyone causing disunity in the country. The big question: is Zambia's democratic space shrinking, as some civil activists and human rights contenders have argued? Now, yesterday, police stated that a rally planned by New Heritage Party scheduled for the capital Mandevu was not permitted due to security concerns. Police also mentioned that political parties would be allowed later to hold rallies once the security condition in the country improves. Now, New Heritage Party leader Chishala Kateka had planned to hold a rally in Mandevu on Saturday, but police then deployed officers in full riot gear, disrupting the event. Recently, the police have been accused of undermining the opposition's right to assemble, a move seen as an affront to constitutional freedoms. Good evening. My name is Costa Mwansa. This is Costa. We discuss Zambia's democracy, really the freedom of association, the freedom of assembly, and the Public Order Act. The New Heritage Party President, Madam Chishala Kateka, is my guest on the program this evening. Madam President, it's a pleasure to host you, and welcome to Costa.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here.
For the sake of viewers who may have missed out on what happened yesterday, let's just cue in a report from our news yesterday to really showcase what happened in Mandevu.
On May 30th, 2024, suspected United Party for National Development cadres were reported around the Drug Enforcement Commission, where some members of the former First family were being interrogated by the commission. Saturday, police have arrived early morning at the Chipata compound ground in Mandevu constituency, where New Heritage Party said they were supposed to hold a political rally.
Can you go? Don't allow them. That's why you are here. Don't allow any vehicle near here. Sure. No media, no media, no what? Yeah, man, go on, please. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Later during the day, a group of alleged UPND cadres in plain clothing, whom the party has distanced itself from, displayed thuggery behavior.
We have distanced ourselves from any of such kind of behavior that was happening in Mandevu. We wish to state from the onset that our members do not have any iota of such kind of a DNA, and we do not know who those youths are. For that reason, we are calling on the police to carry out thorough investigation and ascertain where those youths have come from, who armed those youths, who is sponsoring those youths, and what is the motive behind that behavior which was exhibited this morning in Mandevu.
This has saddened New Heritage Party President.
The New Heritage Party is deeply saddened by the turn of events where the government, through its police force, backed by armed cadres of the UPND, stopped our scheduled rally at Mandevu compound ground despite the NHP's meticulous adherence to the Public Order Act.
And former President Edgar Lungu has this message to President Hakainde Hichilema.
Say, Mr. President, take charge. You are the commander-in-chief. And the police listen to you. Tell them to do the right thing to stop this hooliganism, this thuggery we are seeing. And don't tell me that it was happening in PF, therefore it should continue, because that's how we lost it.
Best Jerry, Diamond News.
Now, with that said, let's quickly start with yesterday's happenings and the scheduled rally that you were supposed to have. Briefly just run us through what transpired yesterday. We know that according to the current scenario, really it's just notice that is supposed to be given to the police. They deployed full riot gear, police, but said that the situation was not conducive for you to conduct a rally. Is that what you saw?
Starting with tomorrow, although the story doesn't really begin, starting with yesterday, it doesn't really begin with what transpired yesterday. I think it's very important for us to run through the whole process of what has been transpiring in the background and why the New Heritage Party decided to go ahead with the rally. As you are aware, in the Mulundika case, the decision was made by the High Court that political parties, not just political parties, but anyone who wants to hold an event only needs to notify the police as long as they give 7 days notice. Now, in our case, we wrote our letter on the 10th of May, meaning we gave 3 weeks notice, and in there we indicated that we were giving the police adequate notice to ensure that they addressed their usual security concerns. A few days after that, they wrote to us, they called us and said, okay, we need you to provide a certificate, the original certificate of registration of the party, which we did because we wanted to comply with everything that they requested, just to make sure that we were on the right side of what they were asking for. But then when you think about it, here is a party that took part in elections in 2021 and has taken part in a number of by-elections. Is it possible that the New Heritage Party is not registered? So we thought it was a bit ridiculous, but we still complied. A few days later, then they say, yes, but we want to know who the speakers are, the list of the speakers, which we did. We gave them the list of who would be speaking. Then on the 20th, they wrote to us and said, we advise you not to proceed. They didn't say we are stopping you. They said we advise, because of security concerns, we advise that you don't proceed.
Those are the reasons they cited?
Yes, they said
security concerns.
The usual thing. It's like they have a template because this is the response that they give to everyone. Now, advise and stopping you are two different things.
And
because
this was police in Mandevu or
this is force headquarters, where we lodged in the application. Now, if I advise you not to wear a red shirt or a blue shirt, it's up to you to decide whether to wear red or blue. So we decided that since this was just advice, we would proceed with the rally. Now, the next day, we wrote to
They wrote this advice on the 20th?
20th. So take note of the date. On the 21st, we wrote to the minister because it says if you're not happy with what the police have said, you can write to the Minister
of Home Affairs.
Of Home Affairs, yes.
And Internal Security.
And Internal Security, which we did on the 20th. And on the same date, we also wrote to the Human Rights Commission because in their mandate, they can actually investigate these things. Now, let me start with the minister's side first. The minister, according to the Public Order Act, is supposed to respond within 5 days, which he did not do. All right? With the Human Rights Commission, they wrote back and said, oh, we note that without doing the investigation, they didn't ask us anything. We know they came the very next day, on the 22nd, to see us, and without asking us any questions about what we are thinking, they go ahead and write a letter to us and said, oh, we did our investigations, we went to the police and the minister, and they said you have not appealed, which was not correct. So we responded to them by giving them a copy of the appeal, which was stamped by the minister's office.
Let me get this very clear. What were you supposed to be appealing against? The advice? To appeal the advice?
Just to follow the procedure so that we are within what they are saying, because the thing they would have said is you didn't appeal. So we wanted to do everything that they asked us to do. We wanted to follow the law, so we were following the law. So we appealed against the police advising against, you see what I mean? Because they'll turn around and they'll say you didn't appeal. Okay, so which we did. The Human Rights Commission, unfortunately, is a big disappointment because without asking us whether we had appealed, they write to us, you should have appealed, etc., etc. So we gave them a copy of the letter, which was stamped by the minister's office of that appeal. Now, the minister, as I said, did not respond within the required time frame, just as if we had put in our notification 3 days before the rally, they would have said you didn't meet the deadline. Do you see what I'm saying? So this has to work on both sides. So if we are required to apply or notify them within 7 days, they should also accord to the law and respond to us according to the time that is specified.
Did the minister's office ever respond?
They responded. We got the letter on the 31st, the day before. And it was a one-liner which simply said, oh, we agree with the police. So we are agreeing with what the police have said. And when we looked at that, we said, oh, the police said advice. So what the minister is saying is he agrees with the advice, you know, the fact that it's advice. So meanwhile, we had been preparing for the rally. We saw somewhere where the IG, police IG, said, oh, Chishala Kateka wants to be arrested. She'll be arrested. And then we also got intel that the UPND leadership had asked their people, and I think I posted that on my Facebook page a few days before, that the UPND leadership had told their people that they must send cadres in to disrupt our rally. Now, when you are thinking of cadres coming in to disrupt the rally, you are not thinking of machetes and pangas and 15 minibuses. You know, you're just thinking, okay, they'll just come and be unruly. Now, yesterday what we saw was a very unfortunate thing. You know, we had, firstly, the police who always say that they don't have manpower, because this morning I've spent practically the whole morning speaking to journalists, and one of them said when they called the IG, the police told them that they didn't have manpower. Now, if they didn't have manpower, where did all those trucks and what they now call CDFs come from, and all those people, the police armed? And I'm very sure that in those guns were live bullets and not rubber bullets. Do you see what I mean? And that is a concern that I want to speak to at a certain point. Shortly afterwards, then the cadres come in with, you've seen the videos, you know, I don't even have to describe that.
You were there. Let's have you run through it, and let's start from this point. So you apply, police tell you we advise you not to proceed. You appeal, the minister says we agree with police. So you decided to go ahead with the rally against the advice of police. I think that is what they are going to be using to say we advised you. Now look what has happened.
Yes, but then you see.
So maybe the question is, why did you decide to hold or to attempt to hold the rally against the advice?
Like I said, it's advice, all right? You can advice is simply that, it's advice. You can take it or not take it. And we don't see what security concerns they are talking about. The very same police who were standing with the cadres and allowing the cadres with pangas walking past them could have stopped those people, those cadres. You don't stop citizens from doing what they are entitled to. Stop the thugs.
Did police block you from holding your
They had surrounded the place because they said we are not allowed to. They actually picked up 3 of our people who had come in and were taking pictures. So they picked them up, made them delete the, footage, and then let them go.
So in short, the rally did not take place?
Yes, the rally didn't take place. But here's the point. Why, if you've got the manpower as they did yesterday, why are you stopping citizens, law-abiding, peaceful citizens, from doing what is rightfully their entitlement and allowing thugs with pangas in front of your eyes and allowing them to get away? What message are you sending?
In short, you're saying the police are colluding?
Absolutely.
The police this morning are saying that they're going to investigate these suspected UPND cadres and ensure that everybody is brought to book. Do you believe that these were just thugs and not... How do we know that these are UPND, cadres?
Like I said, we got intel that the UPND would be sending people there. Some of them were dressed in UPND regalia. They had pangas, they had machetes. Look, if anybody will believe those were our people, that would be crazy, because why would we stop our own rally? Now, you saw on Thursday when ECL took his family to DEC, you saw the cadres doing exactly the same thing in front of the police and being very insulting, and the police just let them be. So where does that leave us, Zambians, ordinary Zambians? How safe are we in our own country?
As an opposition leader, I remember obviously having engagements with yourself alongside obviously the UPND and others in opposition pre the August 21 elections. And some of the things you spoke about was the fact that the PF did not give you space to hold public gatherings, to freely move around in public because they had thugs, they had pandas, and there were promises, again, even from the UPND in opposition then, that we need to do away with this archaic piece of legislation called the Public Order Act. Among the things that the UPND talk about, especially when the president goes to parliament to give his address on morals, guidance, and national values, is the restoration of the rule of law and order in public spaces. Is this happening?
No, it's clearly not happening. It's a very sad thing because when you change something, you are changing from this to something else. What we didn't think would happen is we would change from this to the same, to more of the same, because I think that the reason why the majority of Zambians voted against the PF was that very reason. So why are we doing the same thing now? And blatant attack on our rights as ordinary Zambian. I'm including myself to an ordinary Zambian citizen when I'm supposed to do something and the police are standing idly by. When you find the police siding with these thugs, they are just watching them. I know that the ordinary police don't do that because they are afraid for their jobs, because those are orders that they receive from up there, you know, and they'll tell you that, you know, but we are not happy. They are not happy as well with what is going on. It's very unfortunate that the UPND, who were in opposition just before the August elections, have so quickly forgotten what they went through. Why are they doing the same thing?
We've spent so much time and so much resources, and unfortunately some of these resources come from cooperating partners in trying to really refine our supreme law, the Constitution, that fundamentally in the Bill of Rights enshrines inalienable or inherent rights of the freedom to assemble. Yeah. Alongside that, we've been trying to make very good progress on really repealing and replacing the Public Order Act. Surely after 1956 or 1958
yeah,
and 60 years of independence, is this a thing that you hoped to see as a citizen, as a political party leader? You've spoken about the Mulundika and 7 others case, the Laz case. These are very, very clear that, in fact, what should be standing in the Public Order Act does not even hold.
No, it doesn't hold. I think that what we need to look at, where did this thing come from? Firstly, it was enacted in the colonial times by the colonialists in order to repress us, Zambians, people to become Zambians at the time. We were Northern Rhodesians. They wanted to keep control of us so that we wouldn't rise up and do what we did with independence. What is unfortunate is that we take these laws and we simply change the Bazungus and put in Zambians who now want to do the same, to repress Zambians, you know, to repress our rights so that they can perpetuate their stay in government, which is very unfortunate. I suppose all of this boils down on the type of leadership you have at any moment in time, because Chishala Kateka can say today, you know, as soon as I get in, we'll change this. When you get in, then you realize, this it is, you know, let me flex my muscles. And no wonder the other presidents haven't changed it. So you follow along. It's very unfortunate. My prayer is that one day we'll get a government that will be able to think of the Zambians rather than to think of themselves.
One day, when will this day be? Because we're 60 years old, and I always quote this, that President Mwanawasa always used to say, we need, you know, a strong law to really curtail bad leaders. Others also argue that we need strong men to put in good leaders. What do you as Heritage Party and Chishala Kateka believe in? Because where are we going wrong? Because this is clearly an outright abuse of the law.
We need a leadership that will then put in strong laws.
Are the laws weak? Is that what you're saying?
The laws are definitely not adequate, because there are loopholes in there, and that's why they get away with it. Having said that, the police have got no leg to stand on when they insist that they have to give permission to people to, you know, the law is adequate there, but they choose to disregard it. It's really a puzzling thing to say, how are we going to get out of this thing? Because the same laws can be applied by yourself differently and by myself differently. So we do need to strengthen them so that it can't happen. I think that we have a problem in Zambia. One of the problems is that the president's powers are too, you know, the powers of this nation are all focused on one person. Instead of looking at institutions, we must strengthen our institutions. We must strengthen our systems such that this one person cannot override all of these things.
So you agree with the thought of those who believe that for our Constitution to provide for independent, autonomous institutions, we must dilute the powers of the president?
Oh, definitely. I'm one of those people that, you see, as soon as people, right-thinking people who value this country come in. That's one of the things that we must do. You can't have the same person appointing speaker in a way, same person appointing the judges, same person appointing police commissioner, same person appointing everybody. Because all of these now are beholden to this one person.
Do you also think, Madam Kateka, that it's also a conflict, that a minister who has vested interest as a politician is somebody that will be impartial when you make an appeal such as this one?
The minister will not be impartial.
So how then should we be proceeding towards impartiality?
That's why I'm saying that we need to tighten the loopholes that we had, the various loopholes that we had, because you appeal to the minister. Of course, he's going to side with his whosoever. One of the good examples I can give you is the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Okay, the Electoral Commission of Zambia, we have the commissioners who are appointed by the president. Okay, and now he is a player. He's one of the players on the field. So it's like you have Mufulira Wanderers playing against Tinkana. And Mufulira Wanderers then choose the referee. They also choose the linesmen. They also choose the grounds where the game is going to be. That game is not going to be free and fair. Okay, and this is exactly what we are doing. We can think above that as Zambians. I'll tell you why I'm giving that example. You see, the elections so far have been peaceful. But one of the things you can never ever perpetuate is trading on the rights of people and the will of the people. So with this systematic, because it is, I call it systematic rigging, because rigging doesn't happen on the day of voting. Rigging happens, it's on a day-by-day basis. They do this, they do that, and the ground is not level at all. On the day, the die is cast. So now people know that we wanted this person, but you have given us this person, and they rebel. And then you wonder why.
What is the next step then for you and the Heritage Party? Are you going to take this matter to the courts? And again, when we try to get reaction from the UPND administration, Chief Government Spokesperson Cornelius Muita previously assured that the UPN government would not prevent any opposition political party from, holding rallies. In fact, the president and his ministers do say, look, there's more freedoms than was experienced before 2021. Nobody disrupts opposition leaders on airwaves, on radio, and so on. People are able to move freely in markets and bus stops. So they feel, even with, is it last year, there was some democracy ranking that showed that Zambia was making strides. Well. We hosted the Democracy Summit. So they feel for them that they've made major strides in comparison to what existed before August of 2021.
One of the things that we have constantly said is, let's not use the PF as a benchmark. Okay, let's have a benchmark called Zambia and how we should be. Clearly what happened yesterday completely flies in the face of what the president and his ministers are saying. It flies in the face of that, because we did everything that they asked us, but they still went ahead to flex their muscles. So what the message that New Heritage Party has for Jack Mwimbu, Honorable Jack Mwimbu, is that this particular rally, we are not yet done as New Heritage Party. We are going to revisit it when we are ready and in a manner that we see fit. We are definitely taking this matter forward because we cannot... Are you
going to court?
That's one of the things that we are going to do. We cannot continue to be downtrodden by people just because they are the persons now sitting on authority. Constantly referring to the PF and say, oh no, it was done in PF, so we are 1 degree better than the PF is not good enough for us. It's not good enough for us. We expect Zambia to be run the way it ought to be run, not saying, oh no, you see, they did this so we can do it. Okay, maybe a little bit less. No, that's not good
Going
enough.
back to what you retorted in the process, they asked you for your original certificate of registration, you provided. Then they asked you for a list of speakers. Did you provide that? Were they comfortable or uncomfortable with the list of people to speak? But did you provide that list?
We did. And everything they've asked us, we did. I can assure you that. Whatever they asked us to do, we did, because we didn't want to give them that
Looking
space.
at precedents before your failed rally on Saturday, the United Kwacha Alliance was scheduled to hold a rally in Kafue. This was quashed on the basis that they were not a registered entity. Do you feel as Heritage Party you're caught up in this web because of your affiliation to the United Kwacha Alliance, where some of the UKA members poised to speak at this rally? Could this be the challenge?
I am almost certain that even if we were not members of the OKA, this would have been stopped. By having said that, the list did not include any of the OKA members. It included our leadership to speak at that rally. So you remember that, as you have rightly said, the Kafue rally was stopped because they said OKA is not registered. New Heritage Party is registered. Okay, they know that. So even if they didn't see the certificate, they know that. So what was the reason? I do suspect that the fact that we are a member of OKA is a very sore point with them.
Let's talk about your intention and agenda. Definitely police say that the security situation was not conducive and so on. What message were you trying to communicate to the people of Mandevu at this rally?
Okay, so what we have been seeing in the country is a situation where one party, the UPND, are getting their message across to people. And that message is not resonating with the people. What we wanted to go and share with the people of Mandevu is our message, to give them hope. Because at the moment, people everywhere are complaining about the high cost of living, no medicines, high fuel costs, electricity and everything. So we wanted to share that. But then we also wanted to share the fact that, as you know, the rally was dubbed in defense of democracy. Because at this time, in 1964, we were fighting for political independence. In 91, we were fighting for democratic independence. At this time, we should be fighting for our economic independence, the third leg of independence. Now, what the UPND are doing is they are taking us back to fighting for our democratic rights. You know, it's a battle we won, and we've passed over that. Why is Honorable Jack Mwimbo and his team so fixated on the one-party state? You know, the nation was in a certain state at that time, and they think they can bring it back. That's what we are fighting against. And Zambians need to be aware that they don't have to agree to it.
The president, while on the Copper Belt, last week, came out very, very strongly. Obviously a message directed to you people in the opposition that for 2 years, 8 months, he's been sitting aloof and really watching. And he cracked the whip and directed police to arrest and bring to book anybody causing tension, disunity, because his mandate is to provide a united, Zambia. And I think the happenings the last 1 or 2 weeks, the church service at the Dunamis Center, where former President Edgar Lungu said there's potentiality of an early election, seemed to have incensed the current government as UCA and you members of the opposition pushing a sort of uprising. Probably this is where this all is stemming from. And now you're being accused of using the sacred premises or sacredness of a church to begin to push your political agenda.
Okay.
And a divisive one for that matter, according to the president.
So the first thing that I want to say is that that was a most unfortunate statement from the president to say that I'm directing the police. You know, the police operate according to the Constitution, not according to the president or what the president says. Yes, he is head of the armed forces. However, they have a mandate, and that mandate is not to do what the president says. It is actually to safeguard the rights of citizens of this nation. Okay, so it does not fall on the president. What is he telling us? He's telling us that all this time he's the one that is pulling the strings in the police. So he's now pulling more strings to arrest the opposition. That is not. Sorry, let me just finish. You know, it just proves what everybody has been saying, that the president is behind these arrests. He knows what is going on.
But just like you've said that the police, you know, follow the Constitution, the president also swears an oath to protect and uphold the Constitution, and him being, you know, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces means that he needs to protect, through the Constitution, the country from both external and internal, you know, enemies. Wouldn't you say that the president is right to be concerned about some of the most divisive statements of hate speech that we've heard in the last few weeks, dividing us on tribal lines? As a leader of the New Heritage Party, what do you make of some of these statements that have been made?
Thank you so much for that question. I'm sure you are aware that I wrote a letter to the police. I actually reported some UPND, including Honorable Milupi, to police for inciting violence. What has been done there? What is going on? Why should it be Chuamina Galu, Kuluma, Chuamina Galu, Kuluma Mbuzi, and not the other way? So, when the president says that, and then he goes ahead and attacks some people, for example, what did Munia Zulu say? Munia Zulu's crime, in this case, was that he actually said, if you people in Southern Province, I think he was talking about Mwinde and that gentleman in Northwestern Province, and saying, if you people are saying this is a no-go area for us, then this is also, Northern and Eastern is a no-go area. So he's responding to these two.
So you support those sentiments that we should break this country by province and tribe?
Hear what I am saying. Here are two people, one in Southern and one in Northwestern, who are inciting and saying, this is a no-go area for you in the East and the North. So Munia answers and he says, okay, if that's the case, then it is a no-go area. So Munia is picked up. These two, who are UPND cadres, there is a video going around. They are not picked up. What is the president saying to the nation?
But definitely two wrongs do not make a right.
No, they don't. But here is the president making a very strong statement, but does not pick up his own people. What is he saying to the nation? Are we going to take him seriously?
Whether the president and all of us now are looking up to leadership.
That's right.
And obviously for a nation that is at 60 years, I'm a young person that is very concerned. What are you, the leaders, trying to build? What country are we trying to foster if we're saying, let's divide the country? Or like you're saying, only certain people are arrested and others are left scot-free. So what are you, the players, in the leadership stage, telling us?
So can I give an example of yesterday? I had issued a statement before the rally to say that we will meet those cadres, the UPND cadres and the police. We are going ahead with the rally. We went to the rally and we saw the situation. we have some hotheads, even in peaceful New Heritage. Madam, they can't do here. You know. Now, as a leader, what sort of a person would I be if I said, go ahead and fight those people? You know, machetes, there would have been bloodshed. Do you understand? So I said, no, pull back. Just leave it. Okay? They've brought their cadres. We don't have to be like them. So there are some leaders. So I myself don't mind being arrested. I've done a lone protest before. Fortunately, I wasn't picked up, but I'm not afraid.
Are you daring the police to arrest you like, like you said to say Chishala Kateka is...
Only if I break the law. They are very free to pick me up. But if I don't break the law, they dare not pick me up because I will take them on. Yeah.
What is disappointing?
Sorry, you asked a question which I have not answered.
Please go ahead.
Your question was, where is the leadership taking us? It's not all of us leaders who are extreme to take this nation, you know, to divide the nation. Some of us actually want to unite this nation, and we must unite nation. So we are leaders that want to pass on the baton to the younger generation. I certainly want to die only after I've seen Zambia going in the right direction.
So like I said in my introduction, you've got Edith Nawakwe, you know, incarcerated. You've got Danny Pule incarcerated, and these two, you know, members of parliament, plus, you know, an activist in, you know, Brebna Changala. So there's really lots of tension brewing following this, you know, abduction or missing of one Petauke lawmaker in JJ Banda, and the police are interrogating him. He's not yet given information. What seems to baffle me is, where is all this aggression or tension and tribal hate speech coming from when the focus should be on climate change, the focus should be on the drought, the hunger deficit, the economy? We seem to be having our eyes somewhere else. Why do you as politicians seem fixated on all these things, and yet the bigger problem is hunger?
I agree with you that we really need to deal with the real issues that affect Zambians on a day-to-day basis, the high cost of living, like I said before, the medicines. In fact, at 60 years, we shouldn't be in this space that we have found ourselves. I think that Zambians will be the judge of what is going on, even with the politicians and Brebna that you have mentioned. Why do we have those people in cells? I mean, Edith has been there for 7 years. According to our law, 7 days. According to our law, she should have been there for 48 hours maximum and then taken to court. Because a Zambian, every Zambian is presumed innocent unless convicted by a court of law. Clearly, this is not happening. The presumption
of innocence.
Yes, there's a presumption of innocence. Clearly, this is something that is not happening at the moment. I know I'm opposition, but I find that our government is divisive, I'm afraid. You know, the president said, anyone who does this, and I'm thinking to myself, but your government, sir, is very divisive in many ways. In many ways, it has divided this nation. It has brought us to the place where we are. They are incompetent, and they are very divisive along regional lines, along party lines. This is not what we expected to get in this dispensation. This,
unfortunately, is seemingly beginning to turn out ugly and looking very worrying. It's incarceration of political leaders, stopping of rallies, machetes are beginning to come up. Don't we then, I mean, dare or dread that then what we begin to see is political maiming, bloodshed, and then again dividing each other on tribal lines? Because even when you saw what was deemed to be the worst of political rivalry at the time, whether it was President Mwanza or President Michael Sata.
We never had this.
People could come together, shake hands,
and talk.
The church could sit and bring parties together. Why are you, the current generation of leadership, so hard-hearted that we cannot even see any of you in a church together, or even at an indaba, to discuss climate change as the biggest economy, to discuss hunger, to discuss the economy at an indaba for the good of one Zambia? What is it that really you're fighting for, that now we are at the cusp of breaking this country on tribal grounds?
You know, I really feel you, and I know that what you're feeling, a lot of young people are feeling, it's a frustration. Now, when you have a leadership in place, in situ, who will not listen, when you say, why don't you have an indaba? I think you will remember that we had a press briefing. We wrote an open letter and said, let's have an indaba. Do you know that we don't even get a response to that? You know, an indaba speaks of two sides or more. Okay, so if there's this side and this side, so if I said to you, Costa, let's sit down and talk. I know we quarreled last week and you don't respond to me. Can I force myself on you? It's not possible. I think that we need to have a leadership in State House that listens to others and just want to think that they are the only ones who've got the solutions for this country.
Talking about the only ones, again with the historic background I gave, this may seemingly be a big brewing tension coming before August, of 2021. There were so many calls for then President Edgar Lungu to sit with his brother, Hakainde Hichilema, who had also been incarcerated for over 128 days on a traffic or treason charge that was later, quashed by Anole Prosequai. That never happened. Tables turned, an election was held. Could it be that it's the egos of these two people that seems to be holding this country backward from healing? Some are talking about healing. I've heard others who are even saying the comeback of former President Lungu from retirement into active politics could be the reason why, again, these tensions are flaring. And then are some of you, like the New Heritage Party that we've always known to be sober, measured, and progressive, being caught up in all this messy battle just between two individuals who failed to bury their hatchet?
The issue between the two can only be resolved by the two. It can't be for us to say the two have to speak, right? It's really up to the two of them to speak. But having said that, we have joined United Kwacha Alliance, and in that alliance, we hold each other to account. We vote on issues. We don't allow, so you can't speak for me because I'm a party president. You're a party president. Do you see what I'm saying? So we hold each other to account and we advise each other. So in other words, we temper one another. Having said that, I don't know whether there's an unwillingness for the former president to meet the current president. I think somebody must come up and deliberately bring them together.
In your engagements, really, as an alliance, surely you are concerned about the country's peace. What is it that you are saying or advising President Lungu? And again, you mentioned today that you meet on an equal footing as presidents of individual parties. We've had a chance to interact and engage and interrogate your manifesto, your objectives and your agenda as a heritage party. But again, out there's this perception that all of you are being whipped into just one agenda of championing a Lungu comeback.
That is absolutely not correct. That is absolutely not correct. I think if you've heard the man speak, he has consistently said, we are going to support whoever that we will land with. He has not said he's coming back. So the conglomeration of the parties is that at a certain point we will choose, we will vote for the person that will be the torchbearer. So one of the things that firstly, let me go back to what you had said. I don't want to forget that. Lungu's comeback has been due to the fact that he feels that he is being persecuted or something. Okay, he feels his family is not safe, so he's fighting for his family. He's fighting for his
So he's not concerned about the welfare of the Zambians?
No. He is fighting for his party, for his family, and is fighting for what he sees. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to sit with him. He has taught us a lot of things about forgiveness, and he's been betrayed many times. And then he says to us, no, bring that person, and we are thinking, you too, So he is not all bad and coming out just to fight. But now, if I were the president, what I would have done was to bring Lungu close to me, rather than fighting him openly, because wisdom dictates that bring your perceived enemies close, give him some assignments, etc. We wouldn't be seeing what we are seeing now. Why?
But what we are told is that maybe he hasn't reciprocated when he's invited for events.
May I finish? Why do you want to start fighting this man? Because at some point he will fight you back, and this is what we are seeing.
So when you say his comeback is based on the aspect that his family is being followed and he's fighting for his party, if there are suspicions that something was done wrong or went wrong, are you against the fact that then investigative wings should not interrogate or engage anybody, whether they are members of the former First Family?
I think that
if something was done wrong?
Look, if something is done that is wrong, the law will follow its course. But the manner in which the law is following its course is what is worrying, what has been worrying Zambians. So why is the law, you go for this person, grab their assets, make a whole lot of noise about it, a few days later you return the assets. There is something wrong that we are doing, and the perception is not good, and that's what is of concern. When you see that there's a lot of selective application of the law, I think is what worries us, basically.
Let me get back to this perception that I talk about in this alliance or sort of marriage of convenience. Interacting with so many Zambians, especially those who are concerned with the current economic happenings, the cost of living, the cost of doing business, the drought, and so on. There is a school of thought that, okay, maybe the UPND had overpromised, and maybe this leadership is failing us. But then they begin to say, okay, if they have failed, what is the alternative? Because we're not looking for a Lungu comeback. We booted the PF and Lungu out in 2021. So then they begin to look at maybe the heritage and others, and they see you again in these murky waters of this alliance. It makes Zambians feel hopeless, that there's no hope, there's no alternative leadership, either to look at the UPND who promised us and are not delivering, and then again when they look onto this other end, it's seemingly that everybody, there's Uka that seem to be swimming under the shadow of what we kicked out. So what are we, there's no leadership in Zambia, there's no alternative?
Let me answer that one, because as a matter of fact, Uka was born from a call by the Zambian people. The very Zambians that you are saying, this is what we are seeing, the very Zambians on the ground, go into the compounds and ask them about Uka, and they will tell you, at least now we have hope. So what was happening before is you had Heritage Party there, Calabar there, Golden Party. You know, there were a whole lot of us, okay? And each one of us could have gone on our own. But the Zambians said, no, you guys, you need to come together and form an alliance. Come and work together, because your message is not very different from his message and her message and so on and so forth. And to be quite frank with you, as New Heritage Party, I'm sure when you asked me in 2021, would you join the UPND? I said, me, never. And then you asked, would you join the PF? I said, me, never. You know, reality begins to set in, and you realize that we need to come together for the sake of this nation. And like I said to you, we temper one another. We don't just allow you to get away with it. So the United Kwacha Alliance is about liberating this nation economically and in whichever way that you want to think about. We are more interested in liberating Zambia. It's not about, I want to be president. As a matter of fact, each one of us has agreed to the fact that when we do that vote at the right time, we have agreed that whatever the outcome will be, we shall accept it. Yeah.
Are you, as leadership within this alliance, getting together to also discuss the current challenges? Because the sad part of it is that really, even on this interview, we've spent so much time talking about individuals, talking about things that at the end of 1 hour, a Zambian watching has not heard a solution on how the bag of millimil will be reduced, on how engines in a factory will be switched on and so on. Is there any alternative solution to the current problems? Because an opposition is a government in waiting.
Absolutely.
Are we seeing that type of leadership, papers or alternatives being given to the problems?
Absolutely. So we've asked ourselves two questions. How do we get into government? What do we do? So there's the political aspect. Of course, you were asking the questions, so of course you got the answers to the questions. But you didn't ask us until now about the other side, which is the technical side. We have people that are looking at the technical side. And what we come up with, what we are coming up with, because this is in process. Don't forget that UKA was only formed in, is it March? So this is just 3 months. It seems like we've been around for years, but it's just 3 months. And we've got to marry the various manifestos and come up with something that will work for the Zambian people. So you will be hearing from us. And once that is done, whenever an UKA leader, regardless of where they are, what level they are at, or which political party it is, we will have one message. And this is how we are going to liberate Zambia economically and whatever else we are going to do.
So just to get you right there, is there an alternative blueprint for Zambians tonight to cling on to, that there is a solution to the fact that we've got a climate problem and there are water challenges? Right now, ZESCO is load shedding us 12 hours a day. We are being told, I had the Minister of Water on this show last week, that come August, it may go to even almost 16. It will be worse. That means production reduces. That means no power. Is there a solution to the fluctuating exchange rate? Is there a solution to the high cost of living? That is the critical issues. Those are the nail-biting issues for Zambians.
Absolutely. And you know, you are very right, because for me and for us, to the Zambian, they're not interested in all these things. What they're interested in is the way they live, you know. Can they put food on the table? Do they have lights? Can they do business and things like that? And that is what we are looking at. So we have a different side who people won't know about technical teams working on those to come up with that blueprint. It's in process.
Apart from the democratic space, which obviously you've outrightly said from yesterday's or Saturday's events, for you, things are not working. The president and the UPND, when they evaluate their 2-year, 8 months in office, they boast of quite a number of successes that they've managed to equalize on the education. The free education for them is working very well, taking a child to school. The issue of CDF and the timely disbursement of funds, and then the sort of decentralization that is happening at constituency levels is among the issues. They've unlocked the Mopani debacle and they're working on the KCM issue, suppliers and miners paid at Mopani. So they're saying things are moving. The huge one for the president is the aspect of finally having ink to paper on the debt restructuring. Bondholders last week just saying that they unanimously support the restructuring process, and the 180 million IMF tranche is scheduled to be coming soon into Zambia. So for him, his focus is that he's on the right track and he's doing the right thing.
The president has always he's a self-back patter, yes, I've done this, I've done that. Now, when you do something, it's always important that you share that and let others look at it from a different perspective, because when you come up with something, you think this is the best thing since sliced bread. I could speak into a number of those issues, but it would take a long time. The free education, it's got its positives and negatives, and as New Heritage Party, we've always said, look, what's the quality of our education? What sort of children are we going to have in 20 years' time? Are they going to be as exposed as Costa, for example? Can they do what you're doing? Or it will be at a different level? You understand? We need to be building up a nation that can compete on the world platform. This is a global village. You can't say, no, by Zambia, they had free education, so their people are poorly educated. You understand? We have to look at the bigger picture. CDF is, when we first heard about it, we thought, wow, brilliant. But the manner in which it was done is going to cost us a lot more money. Okay, we are not saying it's a bad thing, but it could have been done better. There are many things. Mopani, KCM, miners not being paid. There are many things that are going on. So you will always, the Luansha mine, that is being applauded. That's not going to come online until after the president has even left in 2026. So yes, it's good. Some of these things are good, but for me, as New Heritage Party, I can tell you that what I have been asking the government to do from day one of when they got into government is deal with the livelihood of Zambians first. Okay? We're not saying all those things shouldn't be done, but deal with the foreign exchange rate, because that impacts on the cost of living of Zambians. Deal with the high cost of living. Deal with these things first. Why are we not dealing with them? Why are we, we want to go to Dubai and go to New York and all of these things, but you're not dealing with the real issues for your people. Yes, our president is being applauded out there. What are the Zambians in the
He said
compounds?
the biggest challenge was the debt. That was the first thing he had to sort out.
Okay, so what is
to have it restructured?
The debt, how much have they borrowed since coming into government? Do you see what I mean? We don't even know where that money is going. Okay, so it's actually, so for me, the biggest weakness for the UPND in government is the fact that they don't have an economic plan that the rest of us can track. That's the biggest weakness.
But you do not agree that one of the biggest things post-2021 to do was sort out
the debt
after defaulting in 2019, and that we needed to restructure this?
Yeah.
So then he is right when he says he must be applauded for doing that.
The issue is they insisted that this going to the IMF was the only way, which then was tied to the debt restructuring, which has brought us to this position. Now, you were talking about 180 million being pumped into the economy. The thing is, one of the reasons why our foreign exchange is not responsive to the Bank of Zambia's monetary policies is because of that weakness that I told you about. We don't have an economic plan for this nation. We are doing these things, boom, boom, boom. You bring in 180 million, the foreign exchange rate comes down a little bit, and because it's a one-off thing, it's not a sustainable plan. We need to come up with a sustainable plan which will see Zambia coming out of this economic malaise.
What's a sustainable plan?
It's really up to the government at the moment to do with. As New Heritage Party, we've given them a number of solutions, possible solutions, including one to bring down the foreign exchange rate, which we could do, but they either don't do it fully or they don't do it at all.
Madam Chishala Kateka, President of the New Heritage Party, thank you so much for coming through to Costa this evening.
Thank you so much.
We've been having a discussion surrounding Zambia's democratic space, really, and the blocking of opposition rallies. My guest, the New Heritage Party President, Madam Chishala Kateka. Thank you so much for watching. For those that could have lights on, remember, if you missed this episode, catch us on a live stream. It's Facebook at Diamond TV Zambia, YouTube. We are at Diamond TV Zambia. Good night, and God bless this republic.
Costa was brought to you by FQM Trident Limited, a subsidiary of First Quantum Minerals Limited.